Here's your First Warn Weather forecast first. Sponsored by Anderson Collision Center. Visit driveanderson.com.
We had the snow that came down late last night, early this morning, accumulated to a couple inches in many locations. We've dried out, but we've brought back in the cloud cover for much of this afternoon. Temperatures did warm briefly into the low 30s, now dropping back through the 20s, and there is a little bit of a chill thanks to that northwest wind. We're currently at 28 right now in Rockford, Freeport, 27 in Janesville, and 28 degrees in Rochelle. As we go through the rest of this evening, temperatures will hold fairly steady underneath that mostly cloudy sky. Now, another round of snow is anticipated for tomorrow evening. I've got the timing of that and a look at how much could come down in the First Warn forecast a little later.
Right now at 5, as anyone with serious allergy knows, the price of EpiPens can be the difference between life and death. A new price cap is planned to help ease the financial burden.
Plus, the ringing of bells, a familiar holiday sound for the Salvation Army, the goal for this season, and is it on pace?
And contest winners honored across Rockford Public Schools, the 3 students who designed the most creative chicken sandwiches.
Live from WTVO 17. This is Eyewitness News at 5.
Good evening, I'm Mimi Murphy.
And I'm Wendell Edwards. We thank you for being here.
Tonight, a Rockford man is sentenced to 80 years in prison for killing a police informant.
The jury convicted 29-year-old Preston Scott of killing David Foley on Oregon Avenue. That killing happened in April of 2020. Foley had previously purchased cocaine from Scott while he worked as an informant for the Rockford Police Department. Scott has also been sentenced to 14 years as a felon in possession of a firearm, which will be served at the same time.
A former State Line School coach who pleaded guilty to child pornography charges is sentenced. 38-year-old Daniel Sheets was arrested in August of 2023 after an official with the Dakota School District filed a report. Police investigated and found Sheets had inappropriate conversations with multiple female students. Sheets was sentenced to a total of 33 years in prison. EpiPens can be a life-saving device for those with severe allergies, but many people keep expired medication or go without it entirely due to the rising costs.
Now, a new law here in Illinois hopes to change all of that. Eyewitness News reporter Blake Dietz learned more about that new law today. Blake, what is the state doing to solve the issue?
Yeah, the price of EpiPens has exploded in recent years. One Rockford pharmacist telling me he's seen the price jump from below $100 to over $300. And that has led many people who rely on the medication in case of an allergic emergency, like Barry Connell, to stop purchasing the drug. Now, that all changes soon with an Illinois law capping the price to just $60 for a 2-pack. After years of relying on friends and family's extra injectors, Connell says this law brings peace of mind.
It's a life-saving device that should be made available to people, and it sounds like that they're finally listening to that and making that available to people that are in need. I'm really looking forward that now that I know that they're available for a reasonable price, that I can afford one and have that sense of security to make sure that I have one to prevent any issues with having allergic reactions.
The new law is set to go into effect January 1st, and the Asthma and Allergy Foundation of America estimates as many as 1 in 50 Americans are at risk for anaphylaxis. That's over 200,000 Illinois residents who may save a little cash while protecting their health. Mimi.
All right, thanks, Blake. Well, it's just 1 week from Christmas, and the Salvation Army's hoping you'll continue to contribute to its fundraising goal.
Eyewitness News reporter Tyler Sorensen says while it may be coming up short now, a longtime bell ringer is still working to do his part.
Edward Higgins is a familiar face for State Line shoppers during the holidays.
The Salvation Army contacted our family when I was 5 years old. They came and helped our family out at Christmas time. And so I always consider this payback for what they did for my family. He's been ringing bells since he was 14 years old. And nearly 65 years later, he is still giving back. I caught up with him at the Cherry Valley Schnucks. I'm doing it almost every day. Yeah, I'm probably 20 days this holiday. And I come out for 8 hours. And I don't normally do that, but I have the time. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I'm retired.
So it's just a fun way to give back to the community.
Yeah, exactly.
The Salvation Army's Red Kettle campaign goes from early November to until Christmas Eve. This year's fundraising goal is $220,000, but right now it's on pace to fall short. Whatever is collected, though, stays in the Winnebago County, helping people all year round.
Well, it's always hard at this time of year. This time of year, we always have more volunteers. Everybody wants to help, like especially ringing the bells at Christmas time. If you still want to help, there is room and space for you to help.
Especially for people trying to make a difference for everyone in the community.
Anybody out there, if they could open up their heart, doing the most good, and that's what we want to do.
In Winnebago County, for your home team, I'm Tyler Sorensen.
You can put money into the kettles at locations across the state line. You can also donate online. We have a link to that in this story on our website, mystateline.com. The Rockford Ice Hogs are giving 2 donations to a local hospital. Representatives from Mercy Health received the gifts at the BMO Center this morning. The team's Hockey Fights Cancer initiative raised $10,000 this year. That is being donated to the Mercy Health Development Foundation's Cancer Fund. Additionally, nearly 4,000 teddy bears were thrown onto the ice after the Ice Hogs' first goal at last week's teddy bear toss.
Just bring a new stuffed animal to the game. When the Ice Hogs score, you get to throw it on the ice. It's a really cool visual. It's a fun moment to watch them all go flying on the ice. And then, of course, the best part is when we get to deliver them out to kids who really need them.
So those stuffed animals will be delivered and donated to the Mercy Health Emergency Department to comfort children during emergency visits.
Some Rockford Public School students were celebrated today for their chicken. Tyson teamed up with RPS for the contest earlier this year. Students used their creativity to design the best chicken sandwich. Auburn 11th grader Liam was the big winner for his age bracket. For middle school, it was Avery, a 6th grader at Montessori. And Gregory, elementary 5th grader Andrew, took home the prize for the younger kids.
Artistically, it was beautifully done, but then creatively, it was a really exciting chicken sandwich, something we could absolutely menu.
Originally, I was just going to do it plain, but then my grandma told me to add some mac and cheese, so then it took a while of thought to like which one I do, but I just decided to do the mac and cheese because I feel like it's more creative.
That was a good choice. The winning students' creations will be featured on the lunch menu in the spring.
Can't go wrong with mac and cheese, right? There are a few days left to honor a special woman in your life. Is she remarkable? Because our nominations for Remarkable Women Initiative close on Friday. We're looking for stories of women making a difference in 3 main areas: community contribution, self-achievement, and family impact. You can scan the flow code right now on your screen with your phone, or you can go to our website, mystateline.com, and click on the community tab.
After the break, TikTok has one last chance to appeal a law that could ban the video sharing app.
Find out how the app is moving forward with this final effort.
And tonight at 6, a local museum set to receive a sizable grant. The restoration work the money is earmarked for.
We did briefly warm into the low 30s this afternoon, but the numbers are going to cool heading into the weekend. In between, we've got another round of snow. I'll time that out for you in the first warn forecast a little later.
You're watching Eyewitness News, your home team, with Mimi Murphy, Wendell Edwards, Scott Leber, and Chief Meteorologist Candace King.
The U.S. Supreme Court has agreed to hear arguments over the constitutionality of a law that would ban TikTok.
This may be the social media platform's only way to stay legal here in the U.S. outside of selling rights to an American company. Alex Stone reports.
The TikTok ban now headed to the highest court in the land. Today, the U.S. Supreme Court saying it will hear arguments next month over a potential ban of TikTok if the platform is not sold to an American company. Of concern is that TikTok, owned by Chinese company ByteDance, could allow the Chinese government to collect data and manipulate the content of American users. TikTok CEO, who met with President-elect Trump this week, insists his company does not share Americans' data.
I have seen no evidence that the Chinese government has access to that data. They have never asked us. We have not provided.
In TikTok's emergency appeal to the Supreme Court, it says a ban will shutter one of America's most popular speech platforms and violates the First Amendment. TikTok claims to have over 170 million users in the U.S. and says cutting off access to the app would violate its users' rights. But the clock is ticking. If the Supreme Court upholds the ban, it will take effect 1 day before President-elect Trump takes office. Trump wants a TikTok critic now seeming to side with TikTok, praising the app for helping him win over younger voters and win re-election.
How do you plan to stop the ban on TikTok next month?
We'll take a look at TikTok. You know, I have a warm spot in my heart for TikTok.
In a statement, TikTok responded today saying, quote, "We are pleased with today's Supreme Court order. We believe the court will find the TikTok ban unconstitutional." Alex Stone, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Today, the Federal Reserve slashed its key interest rate by 1/4 point, but Wall Street wasn't impressed.
The benchmark rate now sits at 4.3%. The bank's policymakers also projected today they'll reduce the rate by 1/4 point twice next year. That's down from their previous estimate of 4 cuts. The Dow fell by 1,100 points as a result. The statement that it's expecting just 2 rate cuts in 2025 fueled a broad sell-off. Today's cut was the 3rd this year, the largest of which was a 1/2 point cut back in September.
In the state line, many of us woke up to that winter wonderland.
But will that snow stick around? Candace lets us know in her full forecast coming up next.
Now, your first warned weather forecast from Chief Meteorologist Candace King.
Well, the snow that came in late last night, early this morning was a little bit of an overachiever for some, as we had anywhere from 1 to 2, even close to 3 inches adding up in a couple of spots. Pearl City 3 inches, Davis just under 3, Belvedere, Freeport at 2, Rockford 1.9 officially, Lanark 1.5, same thing out in Lena. And that snow did cause some issues, especially on the roadways, some of the untreated roads and lesser traveled roads as well. We still have the snow on the ground as we take a live look with our Mercy on SkyTrack camera out to the Poplar Grove Airport. You can still see the snow on the grassy surfaces. Some of that cleared out from the roadways we had from earlier today. Now, as we go through time, what we'll see is another chance for snow to return by this time tomorrow. While some areas picked up on a couple inches of snow, other locations not quite as much. And a difference here, hard to see now that the sun has set, but not as much snow on the grass with our SkyTrack camera down in Rochelle. We have been dealing with the cloud cover for much of this afternoon. It was nice to see some sunshine though early on this morning. That did give our temperatures a little boost into the low 30s. Those numbers now holding steady in the 20s. Our coolest spot, Monroe at 24, 28 in Freeport, 27 out in Galena. We're 28 in Rockford and 27 right now up in Janesville. Our next low pressure system moving into the Pacific Northwest. That's what comes in tomorrow and tomorrow night. You can see the moisture associated with that working across the northern Rockies. Now, while the track of this low moves very, very close to northern Illinois, there is some room for that to wiggle just a bit, and believe it or not, that will have an impact, at least initially, on that precipitation amount and type as we go into tomorrow. So let's look at what we've got. High snowfall accumulations, or the highest snow accumulations, will be riding through the plains, the upper Midwest, and even up into Wisconsin, where several inches of snow are expected to come down. That's where winter weather headlines are in place. Nothing for the immediate area, and I think areas that had that 1 to 2, even 2.5 to 3 inch snowfall from late last night could set up again going into tomorrow. So roughly along and just a little south. So I would say from the state line to about Highway 72, you've got that potential for 1 to 2 inches. You get south of that, you might have a little more warm air that gets wrapped in. North of the state line, 2 inch plus totals are possible as that area stays north of the track of that low. So let's put this together with Futurecast. As we go through time, notice our wind is shifting around to the south. So that's going to do a couple things. It pulls in some moisture and it starts to pull in that warm air. The leading edge of that warm air will allow a band of some snowfall to develop as early as late morning, mostly north of us, but some areas across northwest Illinois could pick up on some lighter snow. With that low passing right over northern Illinois, that warmer air getting trapped in and pulled in along the southern fringe could allow that mix of precipitation along and south of Interstate 88. You get north of that, you're mostly in the cold side of things, and so mostly snow comes down, but you can see how just a little bit of a shift in that could change the overall precipitation with what we see. I do believe there will be a lull in some of the activity as the low moves right overhead tomorrow evening before picking back up then early Friday, and that could cause some issues for that Friday morning commute. So just a heads up on that. 30 degrees for Friday, drop in temperatures for the weekend. It gets colder. Looks like we might see more of a mix going once we head into Monday morning, so that could be a mess before temperatures warm up by Christmas.
Thank you, Candace.
Scott's in next with sports.
He catches us up with NIU's football team as it gets ready to leave for the upcoming bowl game. The Huskies will tell us why this game is so important to them.
Now sports with Sports Director Scott Lever.
NIU's football team will be flying out of Rockford tomorrow morning for Boise, Idaho in the Idaho Potato Bowl. They'll face Fresno State there next Monday afternoon. And this game serves several purposes for the Huskies. One is to send the seniors out on a winning note.
We got a lot of seniors that's put a lot into this program. We certainly want to go out the right way by honoring them with the way we play.
One is All-MAC first-team defensive tackle Devontae O'Malley. He'll put on that number 8 Husky jersey one last time.
It means a lot, you know. I love it here. Honestly, I do. Been here all 5 years.
It's just a blessing to go out there with the seniors we have now, which is 30, and then go out there and get another win, and then obviously another bowl ring.
The other purpose of this bowl game is to help the younger players get a jump start on next year. They've already had the benefit of extra practices, and a bowl win would provide some momentum for the off-season program.
I know what the bowl win last year did for our football team in the offseason. And so we want to carry that momentum into next season with a strong performance.
The Huskies will be missing some of their top players from the regular season, guys who have entered the transfer portal and won't play. Most notably receiver Trayvon Rudolph and quarterback Ethan Hampton. That clears the way for younger guys to get more valuable experience to take into next season. One of those players will be redshirt freshman Josh Holst of Marengo. He now takes over as the starting quarterback.
I think he's made a tremendous jump over the last couple weeks. He's really elevated his performance. We have to adjust and adapt, and we've done that. Although we lost guys, the guys that are stepping in have started games for us. So the depth of our program is the strength of our program.
Another benefit of playing in the Idaho Potato Bowl is the added national exposure the Huskies will receive. They got plenty of it in September when they beat Notre Dame. This game will be shown on ESPN Monday afternoon. It'll be the only football game, college or pro, going on at that time.
Anytime you get a chance to play on national TV and show exposure of your university and your athletic department, that's always a positive. Now we need to go out there and play the way that we need to play to make sure we're a great representative of that.
Kickoff for the Idaho Potato Bowl Monday will be at 1:30 Central Time. Again, it's on ESPN. We'll be right back.
Radar brought to us by Rockford Glass and More. Pretty quiet out there for tonight, but we'll see that snow return going into tomorrow late afternoon and evening. That could cause some issues for that early Friday morning commute. A couple inches will be possible from that for some. Just have to watch the overall track of that low. Now temperatures tonight are down into the 20s. We're up to 32 tomorrow, back up to 30 with some wind on Friday. 20s then through the weekend.
Thank you, Candace.
And thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you again at 6.